Start us off, Carter.
From Oscar winner Jordan Peele and Monkey Paw Productions, producers of the landmark horror films Get Out, Us, Candyman, and Nope, comes a chilling journey into the intersanctum of fame, idol, and the pursuit of excellence at any cost, featuring an electrifying dynamic performance from Marlon Wayans. Him stars former college wideout Tyreek Withers as Cameron Cade, a rising star quarterback who has devoted his life and identity to football. On the eve of professional football's annual scouting combine, Cam is attacked by an unhinged fan and suffers a potentially career ending brain injury. Just when all seems lost, Cam receives a lifeline from his hero, Isaiah White, a legendary 8-time champion quarterback and cultural megastar, who offers to train Cam at Isaiah's isolated compound that he shares with his celebrity influencer wife, Ezell White. But as Cam's training accelerates, Isaiah's charisma begins to curdle into something darker, sending his protege down a disorienting rabbit hole that may cost him more than he ever bargained for. The film features a dynamic support. You know what? This isn't part of the synopsis. You get it.
Yeah, you're going a little hard.
Him, only in theaters September 9th. Hey man, I've had to listen to this freaking ad read for like every damn football pod because every freaking football podcast is on Spotify now, and by extension, they have all the same ad reads because Spotify pulls from the same couple of ads, and by extension, I've had to hear that exact same. I didn't know about the brain injury; they cut that part out of the radio synopsis, but like I've had to deal with this literally every day, so I'm making our audience deal with it too.
What did they do to you, though?
I don't know. I'm just tired of hearing about it. Also, I just feel bad for the actual director, Justin Tipping, who is like pretty, he's made some good films in his own right. The problem is like, it's always a problem whenever like there is like a very talented director who's also like a producer. So the studio will pivot to like centering them as like the creative mastermind behind it. It's like Jordan Peele didn't direct this; he's just paying for it. I mean, certainly, I imagine he had a lot of creative input, but like he didn't write the script, he didn't direct it. Like, it just feels kind of gross to like completely push out the director and the 3 writers on this, but like, it's kind of how the marketing of the industry works.
Yeah.
Also, it is very funny. It's very obviously Tom Brady. His wife's name is Azelle. Come on, you gotta change a couple more letters, guys. Like, really? Like, you made a point to make it 8-time Super Bowl winning quarterback, but you literally just took the G? Unbelievable. Anyway, I mean, maybe it's good. I don't know. I'm kind of tired of seeing the ads. It's one of those movies where I'm like, can this just come out so people can talk about it and then we can, like,
we
I don't know, move
we
on, I
have it
guess?
run its course in like
Yeah, right.
the
I
week
need its
long course
cultural.
that we have it for now.
Exactly. Yeah, like literally like have a week-long discourse and then we move on to whatever the next thing is. It's probably not a healthy way to consume art, but it is kind of how it works and that's what our brains have been programmed to deal with. But anyway, welcome to Don't Sleep on Football. Carter here.
And I'm Rady.
That would be really funny if they just called him Brady. Just and
Yeah.
didn't give him a last name. Didn't even try for a last name. They're just like, ah, fuck
They
it.
go with like Brady Thompson.
Yeah, or Brady Tim.
Tim.
It's the classic Family Guy bit. What is your name? My name, and he sees some P's. Tur, and then there's just a Griffin in the room.
Yeah,
Griffin,
poison to the-
Peter Griffin. Ugh. Yes, but week 1 is in the books, ladies and gentlemen. A dynamic first weekend with a lot of really cool highs, a lot of some shocking lows, but a lot of predictable lows. And honestly, I feel like we're in a fascinating place after week 1 compared to last year, where I feel like outside of the Bengals completely bungling the Patriots game, I feel like everything kind of went on schedule week 1. Whereas this week, I'm like, there's a handful of genuinely shocking results here, or like genuine, sort of shocking takeaways from certain position groups and teams that I think is going to paint an interesting story for the rest of the year.
I think we set the bar in the most interesting fashion for the beginning of the season. Like almost ever.
I'm genuinely, I would love to skim back through outside of like
All right.
outside of the year maybe 9/11 happened. I'm trying to think I'm hard pressed to think of a season start that was more chaotic than immediate like injury, guy has to get helped off the field, and as that's
Yes.
happening, a man spits on another man, feelings because like
It
a quarterback of a team goaded the star defensive player into spitting on him to change the tide of the game.
comedy. Absolutely.
Mind you, 10 seconds haven't come off the clock yet.
Yes. So Eagles Cowboys opening up the season. Um, like we said last time, fantastic idea.
Hmm.
The initial kickoff happens, and then it goes to shit.
Immediately, it's so funny because we were playing D&D at the time because we have a Thursday slot right now, like locked in, and like I have the game on my phone. I'm assuming you have the game on your TV,
Yeah.
and everyone's kind of like half in the game, half like in the other game. And I just see a flurry of messages like, "No way, this is how we're starting." I'm
Oh,
like, "What the hell? What did
I
they?
was
Who did
muted because
what?"
I was cracking up. So, initial kickoff. Van
Yes,
Summerin. I don't. There's a lot of similar looking letters at the end of his last name, so I get confused.
hmm.
Gets hurt, and while they're dealing with him, which he's out for the season now, I'm pretty sure.
Damn.
You see a big kerfuffle, and then a flag get thrown, and it's revealed that Jalen Carter spit on Dak Prescott. Which
It's
after seeing it, like you see the replay and stuff, you see he was like Dak spit in the direction of the Eagles, and you see him clearly goading him into it, and it's like, oh come on, Jalen Carter, you should not be falling for that.
it is
However,
very funny
it's
that like
funny as anything because all that happened was a kickoff. That's it.
right. The season hasn't even actually started yet. You know, we've done the banner
Yeah.
thing, we've done like the pomp and circumstance. Right. It's funny because you win. Like it didn't actually cost anyone the
No.
game. Like it obviously
It did,
changed the dynamic of the game,
it
but
made the game a little bit more difficult for the Eagles, but also the factor of there was a big lightning delay. Um,
yes.
that took out a
Truly
chunk of
off-kilter
time,
game
and
the entire time.
that killed all momentum. The first half and second half are two drastically different games.
Right. I mean, honestly, that was one of my big takeaways from the Eagles game. It's like, let's not take too much away from this. Like, it's, you know, because it was going back and forth. It was a pretty high scoring game.
Yeah.
Like, the
It
Eagles
was
have lost their
20
best
20
defender.
to 21 at half.
Right. The Eagles have lost their best defender. The Cowboys have fully committed to, like, you know, shadowing AJ and Devontae and being
Yeah.
like, the only way they're gonna beat us is if we run. They weren't protecting run lanes well, so Jalen Hurts kept it. Literally was first read, look at Dallas Goddard or run, and that was working. And then like everyone kind of stopped playing. Again, you lose two offensive linemen because they cramp up. Because it turns out it's really hard as like a 300-pound man to be moving a lot for a quick time, like for a half to stop and then try to start moving again. I am curious if Dak Prescott continues this strategy. Like, is he going to like say untoward things toward Dexter Lawrence's mother?
Yeah, is he
Like,
gonna try and scumbag the Giants?
right. The plan to make up for the way to like recreate Micah Parsons in the aggregate, like do the analytics thing, is just to eliminate the other team's best defensive player every week. Like, is he going to hire someone to kid him? No, I can't say that.
Nah, you can't at this point.
Yeah, no, not the time.
It's kind of interesting though, like how that all went down, and the punishment is comedic.
Right.
1 game suspension, but because no real snaps were actually played at that point, the game counted as the suspension. And by far my favorite comment about that is he should appeal and try and win it, and then build a time machine to go back in time to
Or
play
just
in that
force the
game.
Cowboys to play another game.
Yeah, it's just like that's so stupid, but it's kind of funny. And then the game pay, which is like, all right, that's a reasonable fine for it.
Hmm.
Like an
Look, there had to
ejection.
be some consequences,
Yeah,
but like, let's not
they
get crazy.
They phoned in the consequences because it's like we have to make it like we don't condone this, but also, I mean, he just spit on him a little bit. It's not like he was like he broke
It's
his arm.
gross.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
gross.
I mean, Here's the
But these
thing.
guys are like sweating and like hitting each other all like for like 3 hours straight. Like,
Here's the thing. I'm the thing. But anyway, here's the deal. Like, if it weren't Jalen Carter, I feel like people would have, like, because here's the thing. Ndamukong Suh was doing this shit, was doing much worse shit all the
Ndamukong
time. He
Suh
stomped on dudes. He was swinging
he
helmets.
was
That dude was a
a league
menace
of his
to
own.
society.
I
Like,
still remember a couple years ago now in the playoffs, it was Eagles 49ers, and Sue was like a halfway through the season to finish out the year with them pickup, and it was right after I think like
oh, yeah. I
was it
forgot
Trent
about that.
Williams?
God, he
I
really
think
did jump
he
around at
like
the end of his career.
yeah, Trent Williams like threw a dude, and it was comedic, honestly. Um, and everyone was like getting ready to fight, and then you see big like Ndamukong Suh and Jordan Mailata kind of enter the fray. And everybody immediately, like from the 49ers, stopped trying to fight them. Like, fight the
Yes.
Eagles. Because it was just
Yeah.
like.
People
Alright,
knew he was a real one.
it's like we got Jordan Mailata, like, making sure nobody gets near Hurts or, like, anyone else. And then you got Ndamukong Suh just kind of strolling over. And everyone's
Right.
just like, alright, we cool.
Yeah, but here's the difference. Again, Ndamukong Suh was a real hothead on the field.
Yeah.
Like, he was prone to, like, flying off the handle a bit. But off the field, everyone agreed he was, like, a gentleman. Like, he was famous for being, like, a pretty well-spoken person who, like, stood up for his fellow players and was, like, again, he was like a cool dude. And it's the same thing with Myles Garrett for, like, I feel like the NFL went too far with the helmet swinging punishment. But at the same time, the reason why he was kind of able to rehabilitate his image so fast is, like,
He's actually,
the league wanted him to be the face of the league. Yeah, again, he was a good person. He's a role model in Cleveland. He's, like, a literal poet. Like, he writes poetry. Like, again, people, like, whereas Jalen Carter, unfortunately, he's kind of painted by the fact that he had a warrant out for his arrest.
Drafted,
Yeah, and, like, that's probably going to keep following him around until, I mean, ideally not forever. I'd like to believe in sort of reformation and, like, forgiveness, but, it colored, the memes got a little mean in terms over a spitting incident.
On his image with that and having, like, a temper and stuff, and it's just like, yeah, that's going to happen.
But, yes, unless you have any other thoughts on the Eagles game. Again, it's such a hard game to take anything away from because it's like it was a fun first half, and then we kind of just stopped playing football.
Yeah, it was a fun first half. There was only a field goal scored in the second half. There was like I think like 30, 40 minute rain delay, like lightning delay, something like that. And that just killed all momentum for both teams, where it was just kind of going back and forth and like running down the field, punting, turnover, things like that, where no one really did anything. And it was like, all right, good for like both defenses to showing up in the second half.
Right.
Because they weren't there in the first half. But I think the biggest takeaway of this entire game was I think the Cowboys could have won if they had Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I feel like that's everyone's takeaway. It's like, man, it's almost like you don't piss off.
Or like one definitely, and then others were kind of slagging along. I feel like Micah Parsons would have been a perfect person to like him, like Myles Garrett would have been perfect people to just bully in that situation. Because the Eagles
that's the thing.
A strong starting offensive line, but the depth is not quite there.
Well, again, that's the kicker to all of this. We we brag on how the Cowboys' seasons have gone. We rag on how they've handled all of these contracts and how they've overpaid for Dak and CD because they like putzed around and pay them ahead of schedule. But it's like you could watch that game and kind of see the logic of what they were going for, where it's like at the end of the day, the three premium positions in this sport are quarterback, wide receiver, and pass rushing defensive linemen. Those are the ones that always get overpaid. And I guess you could probably throw left tackle in there too, but that feels like a slight tier below. It's like you want the quarterback, you want the pass rusher, and you want the receiver in some order. If you have those, it can kind of elevate everything else, like particularly defensive. Like a good pass rusher just makes everyone on the defense like
A lot
jobs
more.
easier. You can literally look at Green Bay right now, and you can look at Micah Parsons or Myles Garrett after 1 week,
Yeah.
and it's like that's kind of the key. And it's like if you'd actually just paid Micah, you could easily see an avenue where it's like, okay, maybe they don't win the division, but at least they like get into the playoffs. At least they're a competitive, serious team. When you take one of those pillars away, it's like, well, you didn't have anything else to support the house, and now it's crumbling a little bit.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I'm curious to see their game with the Cowboys this upcoming week. Or they are the Cowboys, the Giants,
Mhm.
because the Giants. I mean, they underperformed again. In week 1, but it's just like, all right, what like you're gonna go against like Dexter Lawrence and Thibodeau,
He's
and
going to
it's
try
like
and get
you've
Dexter
got
Lawrence to fart on him.
yeah, you've got some you like Abdul Carter. It's like you got some pressure coming in on defense for you
Mhm.
guys. It's like, are you gonna be able to like handle it?
Right.
But
Yeah. Again, if you told me they could go like, well, now I don't know without Micah Parsons, but I'm like,
I
yeah, they could go 9-7 in this division.
like yeah, I think that's the thing. I think all preseason assumptions about them before that like we're like in a land of them still having Micah, and I don't I don't know where they'll be because honestly that game very much an asterisk. You started
Right.
off weird, ended weird. I'm not saying it shouldn't count because they did the minimum amount
Yeah,
clearly,
the record matters.
but and like records matter, but I wouldn't call that like a true game
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
you had a normal halftime and then you had like a back-to-back halftime,
Mhm.
and
Right.
it was
And that's
messy.
before we even factor in. It's like the first 2 weeks kind of are just a proto preseason.
Yeah, look at the
Like,
Saints
which is why the bank, yeah, exactly.
last year. Saints.
Again, we don't know anything. That's why I'm not getting on. I refuse to be hoodwinked by the Indianapolis Colts. I'm like, I need to see I need to see a
Yeah,
month of results before I commit to saying any team is great or
and
bad.
yeah,
Because if you were to tell me that Dolphins game was just a weird thing, maybe Tua had COVID, maybe everyone was sad about, everyone was remembering 9/11, and they go 2-2 for the rest of the month, I'd be like, all right, fine. Okay, maybe they're fine. But like, yeah, it did feel like it's funny
it
I bring up
was.
Miami because it really was like the worst vibes teams this entire
Oh my
offseason were
god,
probably Dallas and Miami. And it's like Dallas,
I wouldn't
the
even
vibes
say.
actually look up where I'm like, you know what? They don't look that bad.
Yeah,
Miami, oh no. There was going to be one of them
Miami.
that surprised everyone.
Yeah, Miami is a team though. It's just like you should theoretically be a very competitive team. Like
Again, they
here's
invested in 2 wide receivers and the quarterback. It should be enough.
yeah. I mean,
At least to be
they
competitive in the regular season, mind you.
but did they invest in the right quarterback? Because it's like, all right,
Well,
you got
obviously
because
not, but we have to be nice about it.
Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, I will still say that they are a very top tier wide receiver 1 and 2.
Mhm.
Have they lost their step a little bit over the years? Yes, but it's also like Tyreek Hill is still a speed freak. Jalen Waddle's still good, and they have like Devon Achan, who I feel like you can't sleep on.
Right. He's
And
the epitome of a don't sleep on because his numbers can be so crazy depending on the week or the circumstances or whether Jupiter is
yeah,
in Retro Boy 64 or something.
and up like so it's like that. But you between them, like they can only do so much if they don't like Tua 14 to 423, 114 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Not the world's best stat line. And their defense let 30 unanswered points go up.
Mhm.
They scored, I think, the first 7 drives.
Yes, literally no punts. It's the only time that has ever happened. The Bills wildcard game against the Patriots, they do count the one drive where they took a knee, so it is slightly less than perfect.
Mm-hmm.
This game was actually perfect. And what's scary is it didn't feel like because especially in week 1, you can deal with like teams can look way better than you think they are because it's like you've had 9 months to just brainstorm how you're going to beat this first, how you're going to
Yeah,
put
how
your
you're
best
gonna
foot
win.
forward. Yeah, you have like your perfect idealized like opening script. You can probably script out like one or two drives, like full drives, as opposed to the one you usually get during like the glut of the regular season. You can think of all kinds of artisanal packages. You can think of specific visions that you just don't have the luxury of when it's like, I have 7 days, maybe less if we have a Thursday night game.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have to figure out who's injured. We have to figure out if we need to take someone off the practice squad. We're just kind of rolling here with what we know. And like, what's scary is I don't feel like they did that. I feel like they just kind of played regular football. Like,
Yeah.
the plays they were getting to Tyler Warren were kind of just like basic, like, you're the number one, run this route, step, throw.
Yeah.
The run package was the same thing they've been doing this whole time, and they just kind of took advantage of like the fact that the Dolphins defense is soft.
Yeah, nothing seemed crazy. Like it
They
wasn't
had maybe like two big 30+ yard throws that had like an explosive element to them.
Yeah.
But other than that, it really was just like 7 yards, 5 yards, 2 yards, 10 yards, 7 yards, 2 yards. Like just kind of the rhythm of a football game.
Yeah, it was all short little like I can get a first down in three snaps.
Right.
And that average never really dropped of at least
Exactly.
like 10 yards in 3 snaps.
Yes.
And
I will say though,
that's kind of the inches game aspect of it.
Right. I am very excited at what we saw from Tyler Warren though, because like he already looks like a dog in terms of like
he
had an insane he caught a 3. It was like 3rd and 7. He catches the ball about 4 yards away, spins to get room, and manages to get the first down. He made a jumping catch, and like what's funny is he barely had to do. They basically didn't even play him in the second half because the game was already over. I'm really shocked at the Dolphins' offense because it's like, again, the whole idea was Tua gets the ball out faster than everyone, and they have speed to get deep.
Yeah,
and it's
have
like
Tyreek Hill sprinting 25 miles per hour.
Right. Like, really, I feel like the only thing the Colts did in terms of strategy was, like, force him to hold the ball for 3 seconds. It was one of his longest time to throw games, and he looked like butt. He genuinely had 2 of the worst interceptions I've seen in recent like, in terms of this week, outside of, like, that egregious Monday Night Football throw from J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm just like, if this is your best foot forward, again, you've had all this time to plan. You've been getting nobody believes in you. You had the chance to prove the haters wrong. And they're already talking about like team meetings. They're already talking about like they're already talking about
like an hour or something very short where it's just like we're gonna have a players only meeting, and it's just like
which I love. All the players are coming out and being like, yeah, if you're saying this already, it's over. Just fire the coach. Like you've lost the locker room. And then the kicker is like the whispers about Tyreek Hill trading. He's dealing with another court case, and it's like I love how like nonchalant, and it's not even how like the mainstream NFL media has covered it. It's not even that nonchalantness you get where they don't like touching the live wire of upsetting players. Like I think it's so funny from basketball. We were sort of like there was a lot of talking about Kobe's legacy during the basketball season, and they kept trying to figure out ways to dance around his like sexual assault case from like 2004. Whereas this, it's more just they're tired of it. It's like this is every other year, man. Like, what do you want to? There's nothing new we can say about Tyreek Hill and his attitude. And on top of that, now he's not playing as well and literally having a meltdown on the sidelines. Like, the wheels are. Well, can you say the wheels are coming off? It's literally like coming out to your car and seeing the tires have already been stolen.
Yeah.
By Daniel Jones of all people.
Which that's crazy.
That man's kind of flabby. How do you get all those tires off that quick?
Yeah. So I'm looking at the stat line for this before we get back on track.
Right.
Guess how many first downs the Dolphins had for the entire game?
It's got to be under 10, right? It really feels like it should be under 10.
It's a crisp dozen.
That's
Guess how many
again,
the Colts had?
Probably like 20 to 30, right?
Yeah, 27.
Yeah. I would love. I don't know how many first downs you should have per quarter, but I feel like it has to be at least 10, right? Like that's a safe bet. Because like if you start the ball, let's just say you start the ball at the 80-yard or the 20-yard line, and you score a touchdown, that would be at least like what 6? Minimum 6. depending on like how many big chunk plays you get, right?
Yeah, I
I
think
don't know. Am I mathing this out
it's
correctly?
you're mathing it right and wrong. Um, because it's like, all right, are you including like a 30-yard pass? Does that count as like three first downs?
Mm,
Because if
well,
if
that's
if
fair.
that's what
That's what
you
I mean.
think,
Like, it depends how many chunk plays you're
yeah.
factoring in per drive.
If you're like, oh yeah, like a 30-yard pass, that would technically count as like like first downs. It's like, yeah, I would say like six is under what you would expect because everyone felt like they were playing a lot of slower football
Hmm.
this opening week, where it was just like the time of possession for each side was kind of crazy. Of like you got um like 7-minute drives and like 10-minute drives and stuff like that, and it's like that's the halfway to the majority of the quarter.
Hmm.
So I feel like it's the way you got to look at it. Anyway, uh,
Yes, but in terms of other, we kind of just dove right in and did a
yeah,
highlight and low light. I don't mind bouncing between them if it makes sense, but I wanted to cover a highlight, the Rip Calls game. So I've talked about Emeka Buka a couple times this offseason.
yeah,
He has been, I love rookies who are just like, he fits a profile I really like of just like the uber confident rookie. Like again, he's basically has damn near every major receiving record at Ohio State as the byproduct of being the one guy who like stayed the longest.
hmm
And by all accounts, and you could tell something was brewing. It wasn't like, they always try to gas up rookie. The coaches always try to gas up rookies during the, preseason stuff during training camp. But like the endless praise he got coming out, the fact that they made him a captain immediately, you're like,
it's
oh, so he's going to be like
yeah,
good, good. And sure enough, his first game, a 23-20, it's an interesting game. You have it as your don't sleep on game. And there's like one or two other notes that I think are fascinating from this game.
hmm
Um, he gets a touchdown early in the game, and then on kind of like the definitive drive that's going to give them the lead at the end of the game, he calls his shot. He literally says, we should run this play, I can get open, and catches an absolutely beautiful dime from Baker Mayfield to give them the win. And I'm going to be honest, like in terms of like rookie debuts, despite the number, like 2 touchdowns is huge. It's only 67 yards and 4 catches, but it felt so
it's.
monumental. Like I really do
I mean,
feel like he's immediately jumped in terms of like the rookie
yeah.
performances as maybe the
Also,
best of the week.
look who he's like with too. I feel like
Right. He's in a crowded room and he's able to call shots like that as a rookie.
that's that's a good sign for like a quality pick as of right now.
Hmm.
Because it's like, yeah, he's also competing with like Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, things like that,
Hmm.
who are
Yes.
both very strong players. So
Honestly, my biggest, well, go ahead.
it's I was gonna say it's a great showing from a rookie.
Yeah. I think this is a very valuable lesson to a lot of teams, particularly teams that are kind of like in the playoff glut. Like, they make the playoffs more often than they don't,
Mm-hmm.
but like haven't gotten over the hurdle yet. Is drafting for need is always for folly. Again, maybe I'm coming as a bitter Bills fan who has watched like Gregory Rousseau be just okay. Kyrie Irving's not even on the team anymore. Maxwell Harrison, he might just like not see the field this year because it's like you missed all of training camp. So God knows when
Yeah.
you're going to like be field ready and like have the trust of the coaches. And it's like, meanwhile, the Buccaneers drafted a wide receiver last year early. They already had Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin is supposed to come back sooner rather than later. And they were just like, yeah, but this guy's good. Like, this guy's better than everyone else on our board. Why don't we just take him? And now it's like, cool. Now you have 2 young wide receivers to go with your old wide receivers. And you just kind of have like a smooth transition into the next era of this passing game, which is kind of like the load bearing pillar for your offense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Next up, this is a note from you. I don't hate Cam Ward. I'm winning you over.
Well, your your argument for him kind of worked, but it was also just like watching him play, where it's like stat line
Yes.
wise, not amazing.
Yuck.
12 for 28, 112 yards.
And it
Um,
very much is, if you actually watch the analytics, it's also like, analytically, it's also like bad. He had an 11
yeah,
quarterback rating, pretty low on the success rate. He also got sacked 6 times.
yeah. He got bullied hard. Um, but it's also like all right, they were against the Denver defense, which is definitely don't sleep on defense.
Mhm.
And you really he with what he had to work with against the quality that he had, like his top rusher and receiver are both Tony Pollard.
Right.
That's kind of
Yes.
sad, if anything else.
Yeah, again, it's the folly of like it is the folly of having a lot of like I know we were being nice to them last week, but the challenge is of being like the collect having the collection of like
Mm-hmm.
good guys but not great guys is like, all right, but when you're going
Yeah.
against an all pro defense, that's not gonna look good.
That's the argument. That's why I
It's
don't
good
get it
enough
because it's like
it's good enough to get you like 7 wins in a bad division, but it's
if
not good enough to get you seven
if he
wins when
had
you're
a
playing
couple
good
of
teams.
yeah if he had a couple of studs on his like like receiver, like say they picked up Tyreek Hill or
Mhm.
got they traded for Devon Achan. It's like, all right, I feel like having a stud in one of those spots
You know the
really,
Dolphin season's going well when we're already talking about them doing a fire sale.
yeah. It's like those guys going like him having a little bit more options than Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley. Um, it's like, all right, you guys need some help.
Right.
Tyler
I'm
Lockett
like,
didn't even get a catch.
yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm already penciling in like them to draft top like 10 and getting whatever the best wide receiver is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Cam Ward's performance is like the ultimate like stats versus eye test because if you actually watch the plays he's making, even the ones that end up being drops or slightly off, you're like, he is like surviving in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
He's playing an incredibly, again, I talk about like ethical
It's
quarterbacking. He is pushing the ball downfield. He had a
yeah.
couple absolute dimes from like 20, 15 yards away.
It's the
But he also,
argument of he can do this, but his receivers can't.
right. Well, it's actually funny that we keep bouncing from highlight to low light because I also wanted to use this opportunity to hit one of my low lights. I find your lack of faith disturbing, Coach McDaniel, and your competency disturbing, Coach Callahan. So the point I want to make here is, by all accounts, the Titans should have won this game. Their defense actually stepped up. And in general, my stance is like, if you can hold the team to 20, you should probably win the game. Like, that's what, 3 touchdowns in 4 quarters?
Yeah.
But there was 2 very specific moments where the coach just straight up cost them this game. The first is so basically half of this game was just the Denver Broncos offense shooting itself in the foot and like getting outsmarted. Jeffrey Simmons looks like a beast in the middle now for the Titans, but they got the ball. So they got the ball near the end of the half. There was only 47 seconds left, and you're at your own 7. So really, what you should be doing is run, 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 and then like force them to use their timeouts and use up the clock. Instead, it is incompletion, sack. So barely 10 seconds come off the clock. They punt it. Denver scores on their one play. Deep right to Cortland Sutton. Deep right to Cortland Sutton.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute nonsense. The coach actively cost them points because he didn't think, like, again, you have to accept this is going to be a mud bowl. You have to accept that your advantage is that the clock is on your side. And another one, they had a chance to get into field goal range because all they were really able to do was kick field goals. But they didn't challenge an incomplete pass because Coach Callahan didn't know that an elbow counts as a leg.
Yeah.
So if you can only get 1 foot in, if you get an elbow in 2, that counts. And it really is just so funny that we have 2 back-to-back years where I'm watching the number 1 overall pick in week 1 and going, so anyway, what do you think the next coach is going to, draw up for this kid? How are they going to rebuild this team? Like, I just feel like I've seen enough of him to be like, I don't know if he's got the goods. I really don't as a coach. Because again, I whinged about him like shouting at Will Levis and like salting the vibe. I really am like, and this is when I write my 10 commandments of building a good football team, because like I'm super important and I'm infallible like the Pope. I'm going to declare number 1, if your team has the first overall pick and doesn't have a good excuse for it, fire the coach and GM. Like, just do it reflexively. Like, if they couldn't make it work without that number 1 overall pick, they're not going to make it work with the number 1 overall pick. Like, I'm willing to allow some grace and some exceptions. Like, sometimes, hey, Peyton Manning has a degenerative neck problem and your entire season goes up in flames before it even starts. Like, those are reasonable excuses. There was no excuse for the Titans last year. And I really do think, and it's especially for the Titans who have been in a bad habit of firing the GM, firing the coach, firing the GM, firing the coach. I really think they should have used Cam Ward as the opportunity to be like, new coach, new GM, all three of you,
Hard
you're all
restart.
to anchor together. Yeah. You have 4 years. You have Cam's rookie contract. If it works, great. If it doesn't, we're going to start over.
Yeah.
And the other one on that note was Mike McDaniels in the Seahawks game. Another one where it's like the 49ers only scored 17 points. They really should have, the Seahawks definitely should have won. But on basically the final drive, like the second to last drive, the last drive they had to like seal up the game. They were at the 49ers 19, 4th and 1. Like Coach McDaniel openly Coach McDaniel. I'm always it's him and the fucking Dolphins coach. I always get him mixed up. But like he had a chance to end the game and instead decides to kick the field goal, giving the 49ers the chance to march downfield and score a touchdown. And he said, like, yeah, I just trusted my defense more than my offense. And I'm like, then why did you trade for why did you trade for Sam Darnold? Why did you spend all this on the offense if you weren't going to trust it? Like, even if you don't trust it, it's week 1. Give them a chance to prove it. And I am actually, like, again, it is so weird to have two, like, prime examples of, like, kind of bad coaching in the first week.
Yeah. I'm invested to see where they go. Because week 2, Dolphins have Patriots. Week 3, they have the Bills on Thursday night.
Christ. But, yes, well, honestly, I think the Seahawks can turn it around, though, because their defense is actually, like, their defense looked like the real deal. They were putting poor Brock Purdy through the ringer, and it really did just come down to the offense not stepping up.
Yeah, they have the Steelers, though. Steelers kind of...
Yes.
They balled.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that actually low-key was an incredible game that we haven't really listed here, but, like, yeah,
Hot take. If you have two good corners against like the Steelers or the Jets, I feel like that's it. You win.
But yes, and I do think, like, that's the difference. I think the Seahawks defense is slightly more... We have to have a conversation. I don't think Sauce Gardner's been good for a while now. I just feel like he's kind of cruising on his rookie year. And I just feel like they were not locked in to beat the Steelers. But I do think the Seahawks could bring them down to earth. It's weird that I think between the two, the Seahawks-Steelers, I think the Jets or the Steelers and Jets from that game, I feel like the Jets are going to look better in week 2.
I think they are, because also you got to like go back to just the basic concept of the Steelers' main receiver is DK Metcalf. Who knows DK Metcalf? The Seahawks defense that would practice against him regularly. And then, Aaron Rodgers likes to throw. His legs might not have that dog in them anymore, but he could still throw. So it's just like, if you're taking away one of his big options, I'm going to pick up the second or the wide receiver too and put him in a flex spot for fantasy this week.
Exactly.
That's my exact logic of Seahawks are probably going to try and lock down.
They're going to try and get in his head. They know more than anyone that, like, if he, like, gets not psyched out, but if he gets it, like, turned, he's not going to be nearly as good. And then I'm like, what the fuck are the Steelers going to do then? I just, for some reason, I have more faith in the Seahawks defense to stop the Steelers than I have the Jets defense to stop the Steelers. I really do think it's going to be a funny coming down to earth segment. But now I am a little worried that, like...
Jets have the Bills.
Yeah, that could go... Yeah, they're a lot of fun takes. But that actually kind of leads us into our next highlight. Game of the year. Already, at this time of day, centralized entirely in upstate New York.
Can
I see it? Yes. So
it's gonna be so hard for that to be beaten.
Right. It is truly one of the more interesting and exciting. And you know what's great about it? It doesn't invalidate a single thing I've said about this team. I win always. I am the Pope. I am infallible. Because for the majority of the game, the Baltimore Ravens were kind of putting the Bills in a headlock, as I predicted. Basically, the entire second half, the Seahawks had a 14 to 15 point lead on the Bills. Derrick Henry kind of just terrorized this team. He scored a 30-yard touchdown. He scored a 46-yard touchdown. It looked exactly like last year, where the Bills can't get enough, can't get enough behind their defensive line to slow him down, and then their safety room is just too weak and too slow to really stop him. Honestly, again, it's so funny because the big sort of drama moment this offseason was Brandon Beane calls into one of the local radio shows the Bills GM, I should qualify. He calls into a radio show pretty regularly. I think he gets a once a week slot to kind of be like, here's what we're up to. But except he talks with a Southern accent, not a Walt Disney voice. But anyway, just before he gets on, they're making some quips about the fact that the Bills didn't draft a wide receiver early in the draft. And Brandon Beane has what I can only describe as a hissy fit, where he's just like, the problem wasn't the offense. We scored 30 points last year. The problem was the defense. I'm fixing the defense. And I'm like, well, it sure doesn't look that way.
No. Yeah.
It kind of looks like the same defense we've had for the last 3 years that's never gotten better, and yet we spend all of our money on it.
Yeah, is he just trying to say that Joey Bosa is like, yep, that's me fixing it?
Yes, no, we also got a couple other we have 2 defensive linemen, 2 defensive tackles who are currently out for PED suspensions, where I'm like, man, it would have been cool if you factored that in, that we had a pretty crowded opening schedule, guys. They draft Maxwell Harrison, who is currently out with a evidently pretty severe knee sprain if he's out for an entire month plus. Dwayne Carter, who is effectively the player we decided was worth letting the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy for because we got a 3rd-round pick.
Oh my God.
He tore his Achilles. Yep, he tore his Achilles. Note, he missed most of last year due to an injury. So honestly, I'm going to be real. His career might actually kind of be done because at some point, right? Because at some point, it's like people are not going to wait for you to get the reps you need to be a serious veteran.
Yeah, because it's like, all right, think about it. What, 3 years in, and you've got a couple.
How many snaps do you have?
And it's like
exactly.
Meanwhile, you get somebody that's been healthy and has hundreds at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And yes, so he might just be done for. And then Cole Bishop, who they drafted last year in the 2nd round. Again, it's so funny that they could have easily finagled it to get Cooper DeJean and Ladd McConkey, which would have kind of solved both of their problems of needing a man beater, but also getting a good cornerback / safety. And it's like, well, you got to remember, Cooper DeJean, what about him? He was considered a top-tier cornerback prospect. He was a 5-star recruit out of high school. He was in the high percentiles in all athletic traits. Only one major problem, He keeps saying he's a cornerback, but he's white. And what are we going to do? Of course, what else could you do, Brandon? What else could you do? But anyway, yeah, this game, I genuinely turned this game off. There was a brief moment in the 4th quarter where it looked like they might be able to rally. They were able to get it within 9 points. And that's when you have a top 5 quarterback and you're within 9 points and there's any amount of time left, I'm like, well, this is still a football game.
Yeah.
And then it was a series of plays around the 10-minute mark where Lamar Jackson, I think, had to have gone at least 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage, running away from Joey Bosa and Gregory Rousseau. Slips between them, ends up getting a 1st down, a 10-yard gain. Derrick Henry runs for a 46-yard touchdown after that. And I really do think, that's literally fans were leaving the stadium because it's 40 to 15 or 25. The game is over. There's 10 minutes left. The Bills proceed to drive down and get. And again, it's a game like this needs little miracles. A deflected pass leads to a touchdown for Keon Coleman. And I think my exact words were, because I was trying to get everyone on Discord because I was so annoyed. God damn it, don't force me to watch the rest of this game that they're going to lose. And then it is just the absolute most insane sequence of The literal next drive, Derrick Henry ends up fumbling it
Yeah.
because Ed Oliver has like the game of his life. He gets 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and a forced fumble. The Bills take a short field, score a touchdown, and then in Buffalo territory, the Ravens decide instead of going for it on 4th down to punt it. And then it just kind of felt inevitable because it's like, if the Bills need to score a touchdown to win the game, I'm always concerned because I just still don't believe this wide receiver core is good enough. Despite like some promise that Keon is showing, despite Dalton Kincaid at least being able to walk now,
Yeah.
like I just don't trust them to be able to punch it into the end zone. But if you need to get a field goal, then it feels inevitable. And yeah, it literally,
these kids.
right? It was literally 4 passes for 71 yards. Like everyone got involved, and the absolutely buck wild fact that because Tyler Bass, our main kicker, is on the IR, we had to bring in Matt Prater, who at this point was on vacation with his family. Again, he was assuming like if someone calls, I'll go, and they were like, "Can you get here in a week?"
Yeah.
And they decide instead of giving him the time, like spiking the ball or like giving him the chance to like warm up and get ready for the kick, they decide to do a running field goal, which is when you decide you don't want to risk any clock being left, you take a knee, sprint the offense off the field, sprint the kicker onto the field, and then kick the ball.
Yeah.
And
you got like a solid like 10-second window to be able to do that.
you basically have to run it perfectly. And you almost didn't run it perfectly because no one blocked Kyle Hamilton, and he was truly within fingertips reach of blocking that thing. And if that happened, you guys would have heard me actually punch something until it broke. I don't know what. My heart? My
Not
spirit?
even on a call. I would have been
My
able
body?
to hear it from hours away.
Yeah, what the fuck is that? Ah! Because again, as much as I'm a doomer about the Bills and I'd kind of like them to clean house to a certain extent, I don't like losing to the Ravens and I don't like losing to the Titans. The Titans, well, I will say, it's funny, the common denominator is it's always Derrick Henry because Derrick Henry has tormented this team for years now. Every bad Bills loss, well, it either has Justin Jefferson or it has Derrick Henry. But anyway, they kicked the field goal, and in the final home opener for Ralph Wilson Jr. Stadium, I always forget what they call it now, and the 1,000th home game for the Buffalo Bills in this stadium, they end up winning.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and honestly, again, it's like it's funny because it doesn't mess with any of my priors of like I don't trust this defense. I think they're paper thin even with their new additions. Like I think they're pretty weak. I think it's going to be a problem for the team all year, and it is like, and after spending 2 off seasons building this offense around dinking and dunking and running the ball, what they really need is Josh Allen to be in hero mode, and he was basically for 15 whole minutes, and you're like, yeah, this is one of the 3 best players in the NFL right now. And meanwhile, despite all of the flowers you could give, again, what's funny is, despite Baltimore losing this in kind of embarrassing fashion, it's like, if they played again next week, the Ravens would still be favored to win.
Mm-hmm.
It would still be like, all right, but is there really going to be a tipped pass touchdown and a fumble back-to-back? No, they're going to win this.
That's not going to happen again.
But yeah, it's unfortunate because it does kind of follow them around because they lost in Ralph Wilson Stadium because, 2 costly turnovers and a goof 'em up at the end of the game. They wait 9 months, 9 months of being like, let's prove the haters wrong. This is the year. And you do the same damn thing again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's like that's just going to follow them around until they win the Super Bowl. And it sucks that is, but it's like narratives exist for a reason. And you kind of underline the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
I know what you have here is a lot of one-score games that were 12 out of 6. Really?
I counted them up as I typed it in because I was like, oh, wow, that's a lot. Yeah.
Yes. Do any... I'm looking at the ones that we haven't highlighted. Yeah, give me those.
The non-one-score games are Dolphins, Colts, Panthers, Jags, technically
that game
Giants,
sucked.
Commanders,
and
who was technically Lions, Packers.
Yes, which we didn't even list them on the lowlights, but like, oh dear.
Yeah, I'm willing to give it a little bit. We hyped up enough about the Packers that it's like, you know what, we'll give the Lions a little bit of a leniency. If it's back-to-back, problems. But
right.
Yeah. But yeah, every other game was within a one touchdown outside of those
Yeah,
four. And
yeah, it
I
is
like
funny.
that.
There was
I think it's a good
Parrot.
showing.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good showing from a lot of teams, honestly, despite the sloppiness of week one. Just looking over the games randomly, I was very partial to, in terms of the games we saw, um, well, obviously, I was very partial to the Chiefs Chargers game, and we'll talk about the Chiefs when we talk about next week.
Yeah.
Um, the Cleveland Cincinnati game was a classic
That was a
two bumbling teams in the AFC North.
classic Ohio versus Ohio.
Yes, Cleveland had multiple chances to win it, and I think they missed multiple field goals. Uh, Myles Garrett again reminded us that he's one of the 3 or 4 best players in the NFL because there were 2 or 3 times where he hit Joe Burrow where I'm like, why the fuck does anyone play this sport?
Yeah.
Why does anyone play quarterback? Look at that.
Yeah, it's
That
like
man is 6'5" and runs like a 4'5", and he's coming at you to kill you.
yeah, it's the whole argument of just like it's like, oh yeah, I can be good, and it kind of goes into like my other negative point of like, god damn, give C.J. Stroud an O line, he still does not have one.
Right.
They were
We
just
will talk about that in a second.
yeah, nah, they were just
But
running through him.
yes. But yeah, that is it reminds me of a very dumb bit from that Mike Tyson cartoon that Adult Swim did, where it was like Norm Macdonald was
Raising
a
pigeons.
pigeon. Yeah, he has his sidekick Norm Macdonald, the talking pigeon, and his like sort of like fancy pants ghost butler friend. And Norm Macdonald just goes like, "Oh, were you scared there? Oh no, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I'm talking about when Mike grabbed you and threatened to hit you. Like that was really scary. You know he could kill you, right? He could kill any of us. I think sometimes we forget that's Mike Tyson. And every now and then I do kind of forget. I'm like, right, that man is an actual giant who can run like an elk.
Yeah.
Um, like, no, I actually couldn't get a single yard in the NFL, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the whole argument of like that thing of like, oh yeah, depending on who I'm against, like it's like, oh yeah, I can definitely get like couple yards in if I played against the NFL. And then it's like, oh, let me go up
no,
against
you
like
ain't.
Miles Garrett, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, and then Ramsey or someone like that, or even current
Right.
day Aaron Donald. It's just like,
Yeah, who's just like, I'm bored. Let's do it. I could
where
get
it's
another
just like,
defensive player of the year.
yeah, it's like one of those things where it's just like, yeah, I can't do that. Impossible. All right.
Yeah, I couldn't get a yard when I was like in 6th grade and I was the biggest kid. Like you're telling me I'm supposed to look that man dead in the eyes and think I'm gonna see sunrise?
Yeah, no.
Um,
I will sign the ball myself and hand it to him.
yes. Do you want anything else? I could get you a nice soup. Do you want French onion soup, a milkshake, whatever you want, buddy?
Please. Real Bugs
please.
Bunny on my knees, please.
Please. But I don't have cartoon power, so I ain't getting out of this
Yeah,
one.
no,
I'm dying.
If I'm behind the O line for the Texans, I'm just going to take the ball, a snap, about 50 yards back, and I think I would have a chance that I could run out of bounds before they got to me.
I don't even think I'm gonna be real. I don't even think I could do that.
I think that's all the chance I would get. 50
Our
yards
don'ts and just run,
and
fucking
panic
on all
sprint
fours,
outside. Yeah.
trying to bear run. Our don't sleep on game results. I picked a random one because all these games were there's a lot of games that were kind of interesting,
They're all pretty good.
but I picked this one mostly because I think it is a valuable lesson in terms of how we talk about like teams and the progress of the season. The Cardinals played the Saints in the Superdome. They won 20-13. The Cardinals looked boring and efficient on offense. Like they really weren't pushing the ball.
There was no razzle dazzle, and
right.
not
For a team that has the son of Marvin Harrison and Kyler Murray, who at one point was considered like a top 10 electrifying quarterback, it was an oddly boring performance from them. It was honestly, more of the flowers were given to their defense for looking competent in a way they haven't the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I
think it was a nice showing from both teams, but I wouldn't say it was like good.
Right. It actually looked like a week 1 game where everyone's like, we're doing base pack, let's keep it simple. Let's not overthink anything. Like when you're a middle of the pack team and you're like, let's just focus on getting a win. Let's just focus on, no one played in the preseason. Let's just do it.
Yeah, I
My
think
interest is more. Oh, go
I was
ahead.
gonna say I think at least from this game, it just kind of shows that like both as of right now, both head coaches should be keeping their jobs.
Right.
That's it.
Especially, right. Honestly, that's my biggest takeaway from the Saints because I'm like, the Saints looked pleasantly competent. Like, it was kind of a slog because they weren't scoring a lot. There was a lot of, like, dead drives. But I'm like, you know, Spencer Rattler as a quarterback, again, we've talked about him. He's kind of infamous because at one point he was considered consensus #1 overall pick at Oklahoma. He was one of the first big NIL guys. He had a lot of deals. Then this Netflix documentary comes out where he's like belittling his teammates and like the people he's training with. He goes out, just kind of lays an egg in his second to last season. The kicker is he gets replaced by Caleb Williams. And then Caleb and their coach Lincoln Riley go to USC, and he ends up becoming the hotness.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is Spencer Rattler ever going to be a great starting quarterback? No. Is he ever going to be like? At best, he will probably be within like the 20 to 30 range.
Yeah.
But I'm like, is he competent enough that if you don't have an answer at quarterback, you can get him out there, have him throw like 25 to 30 balls a game, and at least have the vague outline of a functioning team?
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's kind of my weird takeaway from this game. For all the doomerism about the Saints, they looked weirdly competent.
Yeah, they didn't. They didn't look bad.
Mm-hmm.
Juwan Johnson, Alvin Kamara, even Chris Olave a little bit. It's like, all right, we're gonna look that right amount of competent, where we're not going to give you faith that we're gonna be the best team, but we're not gonna be the dumpster right off the bat.
Right.
I
And
think.
I think that's like, yeah, that's like the lesson from all of this.
Yeah.
Again, we keep saying, like, oh, this is a tanking team. They're going to suck. They're going to be awful. And it's like, I don't know. There's enough wealth around the NFL for the most part that it's like, even a team like the Saints, who all signs point to them being just like non competitive this year, like, they have enough that's like, no, they're not going to humiliate themselves. Maybe they still will have a top 5 pick just because, they don't have enough high end talent to push themselves over the top. But it's not going to be a humiliation.
No, it's they did just enough that, like, I don't think they're going to earn like a top 5 draft pick. They might trade for it. Other people might lose it, like a pick before them, but I think they can be like a solid like 6th best team if they continue to show that competence.
Right. And then, well, 2 final notes on this. It is funny that, like, again, Spencer Rattler just looks like a competent, like, he'll be a higher end backup or a lower end starter.
Correct.
Like, again, Jacoby Brissett got to start multiple seasons in the NFL. I'm convinced this guy can do it. But it's also like, then why did you draft a quarterback in the second? Why did you draft Tyler Show in the second round? That's like a waste of an asset. You could have, yeah. That just seems like bad team building because I'm like, you do that because you want to show the fans and like the owner that's like, no, 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 we're looking for a quarterback. We'll find one. Remember Russell Wilson was a 3rd round pick? Remember Russell Wilson?
Yeah.
Like, I do think you should have just had more faith of like, you know what, we're just gonna run with Spencer and we're gonna trust that like from coaching infrastructure and like what we've had here, like it's not gonna be awful. Also, what the fuck were those jerseys? Which is the other reason why I wanted to bring this up.
Yeah, the
So
nonstop beige. I didn't hate them violently, but also it's just like you could have highlighted this differently instead of having beige on beige, and it's just like, but you didn't.
yes. So for reference, they this year they are pushing a series of jerseys for every team called the Rivalry Series,
Or
which is
the
weird because I
starting
don't
series.
think.
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Is this one of those, or is this just a random alternative? For some reason, they decided to do an all gold uniform with a black helmet as opposed to the usual black jersey gold helmet, and it's literally like it's not their usual gold. It's like a pale gold. Like it looks kind of like it got
looks more
faded in the
beige.
wash too many.
Yeah.
You know what it looks like? It looks like back in like the PS2 era of Madden, you could redesign the jerseys for the team, but you had very limited sort of like tools and stuff. So mostly all you could do was like change the primary color. So you'd be like, oh, I want the Bills jerseys to be red. Boop. And that's about it. And then there would be like a press release in Madden franchise that's like, what is he doing with these jerseys?
Yeah. I think Yeah, I think it's those that fine. I mean, if they chose their true helmet color, like gold, and they highlighted it with black, like they had the potential to have like a super sick jersey out of this.
Oh yeah, I believe you could make a cool gold-centric jersey. You just absolutely didn't do
They
it.
just didn't. Yeah, that was it.
Right? I'm like, I would love to sit down. Like, I don't want to be like a putz or a jerk about it, but I really would like to sit down with someone. Like, I have my list of like people I'd love to have a full bottle of wine with and then like
Mm-hmm.
poke their brain. And this is absolutely one of them because I'd be like, what were you going for here?
Yeah.
What was the vision? Why did you design it like this? I'd also be remiss if I didn't note, just breaking now, the New Orleans Saints are trading for the injured Jalen Polk, the wide receiver from
Yes.
the Patriots. Him and Javon Baker were second round pick wide receivers for the Patriots, and they're both off the team. That is actual catastrophic. That's actually stuff that causes your team to collapse when you fuck up picks that bad.
Yeah.
Like, holy moly. And we'll talk about the Patriots in a minute because you have them listed here, but like, man, oh man. Um, and your don't sleep on game.
I mean, my don't sleep on game was Tampa versus Atlanta, and I feel like we really hit all the notes of that actually already. I
Yes.
feel like we don't.
That,
There's not much
yeah.
more to say
Other than it was a
than
calamity for kicking.
yeah, a calamity for kicking. It was at a 1 o'clock slot, so it was on the short list for being considered a don't sleep on game. Because
Mhm.
the more teams that are playing at your time slot, the more it's just like, all right, this is possible.
Right. A sloppy game, but a game that showed like both, you know, both teams showed enough on offense for me that I'm like, the vision for what this team is supposed to be is clear, even if this was a bit of a slop fest. I felt like the Falcons were at like third and goal in the fourth quarter for like 12 straight plays. Um, I believe 2 extra points were missed and a game-winning field goal was missed. A bit of a, again, it's division games are always weird, but I'm at least like, all right, I believe enough in both of these teams now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the lowlights. Yes, as you said, CJ Stroud still doesn't have an offensive line. You know a game is good when they never cut to it in red zone because just nothing is happening. And
Yeah.
you're like, well, that seems strange. You have Matthew Stafford and CJ Stroud, 2 of the most popular quarterbacks in the NFL. How could this be? And then you see like 2 highlights and you're like, oh no.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the key. Where it's just like it should be like it, theoretically, this could be like a playoff caliber game.
Mhm.
If they're in the same division. Um, but it's just like, yeah, no, we're not gonna display any of this really. Why? And it's just like, oh, it's just a back and forth of
A mud pit game.
yeah.
Both
Although
offenses are cars. Both
Puka had
offenses that should be Lamborghinis are stuck in the mud.
Puka had a "you made me bleed my own blood" moment, which was kind of fun.
Yes, I. There's a reason why I don't want him on my fantasy team because I feel like it's always fucking something with that dude.
He's got
He
something.
has no sense of self-preservation. So he's always got a sprain or a bruise, or in this case, he had a laceration above his eye and was literally like dripping blood,
Yeah.
like he was in a Rocky movie.
I mean, I will say though, he looked tough as fuck. Um,
Yeah, no, he's a vibe. I like him. I just don't want to deal with like, oh, what is it now, Puka? Why can't you get up?
yeah. No, yeah, that's really it.
Yeah.
We
Again,
we already addressed
it's
a
the
lot of it.
right. It's already the anxiety of like, you change out the offensive coordinator and you hope that's enough. You didn't really do too much to actually change the line itself, and you hope that like a new vision, a new strategy will help. The answer right now is like, and despite that, despite the numbers not looking overly impressive for both Stafford and Stroud, I'm like, you watch them and you're like, God damn it, why can't these guys be in the absolute perfect situation? Because they're such ethical hoopers. They look so good as they throw the ball. And like they're
Mm-hmm.
making plays in spite of being handed kind of a crappy situation. Stafford with offensive line changes and Stroud with a non existent offensive line. Um, and my question is just at some point, do they just double down and try to do the Bengals thing and just be like, well, if we get 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, do we even need an offensive line?
The answer is still yes.
Ideally, yes, but at some point you run out of cheese.
Yeah.
Notable notes. Here's an insane stat that someone kept repeating to me. It was on a podcast I was listening to. With this kind of, and this is also the man, my Giants sleeper team thing sounded a lot sexier before I really factored in what having Russell Wilson as your quarterback in 2025 means. The Giants have now failed to score a touchdown in their opening game 3 straight years. And again, this is why I want to re-emphasize this in the context of what we were talking about like, oh, you have so much more time to prepare your first game. Like, Brian Daboll is supposed to be kind of like an offensive whiz kid. Like he's supposed to be like a guru of offensive play calling and strategy. So you're like, oh, what kind of artisanal plays will he have ready to go to like completely, cahoots the Washington Commanders? What can he do to like really outsmart them? The answer is evidently nothing, despite having both Malik Neighbors and Saquon Barkley on your team for these last 3 seasons. Do you want to know the last time a team didn't score in their opening game 3 straight years?
Wasn't it like the 80s or something?
Oh, no, we got to go further, buddy.
70s?
Nope.
60s?
Nope.
50s?
Nope.
30s?
No, well, see, now it's not as funny. But the 1940s, the Detroit Lions of the mid 1940s, partially because a lot of their best players were not on the team, because it was World War II, and most of the able bodied men in this country were off in France or the Pacific helping liberate the world from fascism. Yeah, so this is bad. Again, it's another, if you think you're going to fire your coach, you probably should just go through with it. And again, I will hold on to my Giant stock because it was like a weird game. Russell was just a non-factor. I love Malik Neighbors describes himself as having a resting bitch face to justify why I looked so angry on the sideline. I'm like, own it, buddy. At least, again, I like when my wide receivers are mad. I want them to want the ball. I want them to want a good team. But anyway, yes. So for me, it's just the countdown of when you feel forced to play Jackson Dart. But then I'm like, why the fuck don't you just? The problem with the Giants consistently has been they've just been awful at scoring touchdowns. They just don't do it. They don't score enough to win games. Their defense has actually been kind of decent for most of this run.
Side note: why is Week 3's? I'm going too far in the future. Week 3's a Sunday Night Football game is the Chiefs versus the Giants. The fuck is this?
Well, because they like getting the Bills and the Chiefs and the Ravens as many primetime games as possible, and at least New York has a built-in fan base. That's the thing. The Jets and Giants have sucked ass for the majority of this century, but it's like, yeah, but they still have a fan base. Like, if you can't get a good team, get a team who will show up, whose fans will show up and watch, kind of.
That's outrageous.
I don't disagree with you. I'm just explaining to you their logic.
I don't like their logic, though.
I'm not fighting you. But again, the point is Jameis Winston scores touchdowns. He throws interceptions. He's a little weird. He's a bit annoying sometimes, but he scores touchdowns. And I'm like, why not? If you really... Yeah, at least the vibes will be better. It won't feel like a slog. Like, again, it's like, I have complicated feelings about him because I get it. I get why people like him. I get why, and again, he hasn't had an incident in forever. And I want to believe in reformative justice. I want to believe that people can be better. And I get why the NFL players like him because he seems like a good guy to be around when you're like a bunch of guys hanging out for like 8 months playing game, like throwing the ball around. Like, put him on the field, just have him throw the ball to Malik Neighbors 20 times. Because that's the thing. You don't want to play Jackson Dart right now because if he sucks early and like you kind of have a couple hard, you have the Chiefs coming up, you have the Eagles coming up, that will cost you your job if he's not immediately good. But he's kind of a developmental prospect.
He's in that range of like he doesn't need to start at this exact moment in time. And if you start him now, it could be real crap for him. And then like you have like the lineup is Cowboys, Chiefs, Chargers, Saints, Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, and it's just like that is a slog of teams that it's just like could be a problem. And then it's like you still have the Packers and Lions and Commanders to go, or Commanders twice. Where the hell is their second Commanders game? I only see one.
Well, they just had their,
Oh, it was the opening
or it might
game.
be Week
The opening
18.
game.
Yeah.
That was.
I wasn't sure which one you were.
I completely forgot they played for Week 1. I was just like, why am I only seeing one? But yeah, it's like I feel like that's like a detrimental schedule of like too much depth that it's like you do not want to just start him off to see how he does. That's
Right.
like if you
And
get
it's
a
but
stretch
here's
of
the
like 49ers, Saints, Dolphins.
right. But then why do you have Jameis Winston? Like, I love it's like
There's no need.
Brian Daboll's in a lose-lose situation. You either play Russell Wilson, who's just a non-starter on this offense, who just really doesn't seem like he's giving you enough to win games right now, or you play Jackson Dart, who has the raw physical upside, who could be good, but like you kind of anchored yourself to him, and like him not playing effectively saves your job. If he plays bad, you're getting fired. He's getting Josh Rosen, and everything's fucked. If only there was a secret third option you could do that's neither. Oh, wait, you have a secret third option. His name is Jameis Winston.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, they played very bad this week. That's all you. And I'm happy that Deebo Samuel looked pretty good for the Commanders because I do feel like that guy got a bad break last season. Again, he had pneumonia.
Yeah, that was a tough ending for his 49ers career, but he at least had a solid showing. Travis Hunter only played 6 snaps on defense.
Yep. Yes. And like, yeah, I believe it's 6. I need to go back and double count. But yeah, Jacksonville was kind of unremarkable. They like pushed the ball, like they scored enough. Not nearly as much as, again, reminder, the Saints scored like, what, 46 on the Panthers last season to open it up? They got like 26. And like, I know there was a lightning delay. And we had 3 games with lightning delays, mind you. But like, I don't think that's an excuse. And
yeah, I don't. I mean, it's not an excuse for just only playing 6 snaps on defense, but it's just like, all right, this was a game. That's it.
Yeah, it literally was a game that existed. And like Travis Hunter's most notable play was Lawrence had him wide open for a beautiful like 56-yard touchdown pass. Misses the throw, underthrows it. It gets picked off. And you know what? I'll give J.C. Horn his flowers. It was actually a really good defensive play. But then he only played 6 snaps on defense. And when asked about it, Liam Cohen basically said something along the lines of like, oh, well, there's a lot of complicated schemes he's still got to learn to get in. And I'm just like, see, that would be fine if the Patriots drafted him. That'd be fine if Cleveland drafted him. That would be fine if you like stayed at the pick you were and drafted him. But when you trade up, when you basically give the Patriots Cleveland, I forgot they fell that far. The Patriots fell that far. Mm-hmm. When you give Cleveland an extra first-round pick, a pick that very well could be in the top 10 next year, you kind of need him to be a Pro Bowl talent on both sides right away. It really underlines to me that I'm worried that they didn't have a plan for this. That they really did just like say, let's have a big splashy signing with our new GM and our new coach, and we'll go from there. And I just like, it'd be fine if he wasn't ready to be like a full-time starter both sides. If, again, you didn't trade up for him. But now I'm starting to like worry that like this was a mistake. Not him trying to play both sides. I think that's fine. I'm wondering if it was a mistake for the Jaguars to trade up for him.
I don't think he was.
They're not a very good team.
But I think it's weird that they're trying to make something out of it. Like, I think,
or rather not.
I think it's so difficult nowadays to be on both sides of the ball that it's just like, all right, a couple snaps, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you should definitely focus on having him in offense and having Trevor Lawrence being able to reach him, because he could have made a dirty touchdown for them. Question of Z Week. This was a U1, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I call this the Chancellor Palpatine, or Senator Palpatine, pardon. This is from Phantom Menace. Let's keep the titles right. Who is one player who you will be watching with great interest going forward?
So my answer, I put Tucker Kraft, tight end.
You dick!
The Packers. Hey, you didn't.
Damn it! Now I have to think. I know. I fucked up.
So that's on you.
I know.
Where?
Ah, God damn it, give me a minute.
like he had like a solid season last year,
Hmm.
and we appear to be at this weird age of tight ends where like
Yes.
if you got a good one, he's gonna be one of your go-tos. And I think based off of week 1, Jordan Love is like, oh, this guy could be a go-to. And
Right.
I mean, that's not saying based off of last year, but like as well. But I think he knows he can, like, you got like Travis Kelsey and George Kittle. It's like people that you could just dump it to, and they might not get 10 yards, but they'll get like a solid 5 to 6, and it's just like, all right, we'll save this a little bit. And I think he's the guy. Although did write this down, I liked what we were saying about uh, the Jets and Pitt, and I would like to see how keep tabs on that comparison. See how comparable they stay for a good part of the season
Right.
until
Right.
a team
Yeah.
takes off or falls off or something like that, or they
Right.
just
Tucker
end
Craft.
very
Mm,
competitive with each other.
yes. Tucker Craft emerged onto the scene last year. He was very much a feast or famine. Again, I think we described it as he is genuinely, he's probably already one of the top 5, like, just real life tight ends, but not the great fantasy tight end because he's very feast or famine. It really comes down to, like, is he schemed up this week to get a big play?
Mm-hmm.
But he does have a little Diet Gronk in him in terms of just being a physical force of nature when he gets the ball, just kind of like plowing through people, bumbling his way into the end zone. And he's also just like a very funny, likable guy. I believe he
He's
mentioned in an
got the
interview.
goofball factor that tight
Yeah,
ends
exactly.
have.
That's what the tight end needs. Yeah, we're in this age of tight ends becoming like
Mm.
weird
I said
personality
it. I'm gonna
types.
say I said it last season, where the thing that puts a good tight end separates that from an elite tight end is just this certain level of being a goofball. Travis
Right.
Kelsey is quite the goofball. George
Yes.
Kittle is probably the biggest goofball of them all.
If W. Andrew Clay was like a football player
Yeah, like
in
you
terms
see
of
him,
just being like
you
a
hear
punk
him.
rock lunatic.
Yeah, you hear him mic'd up, and he's saying things like he's talking to the people, and it's just like, "Hey, like I think it was one against the Eagles where he's like, "Hey, BG, I know you say mean things to me, but I really like appreciate our friendship that we have." And BG was just like talking trash, and he's like, "Yeah, like I don't want you to be too nice to me, make other people jealous and stuff like that. Like,
Mhm.
but just know I still love you." And then BG's like, "I'm gonna take you down myself."
Yes. Yeah, but we have him again. It's like it's even like Brock Bowers. It's like I don't know. He's not much of a character, but he's interesting looking. Like
Yeah,
he's balding. He's like he has a
I
distinct look
think
where you're like, what is up with this guy?
I think he did not
This
have
guy's
it
a
as a.
football player.
Yeah, I don't think he had the goofiness as a rookie tight end, but I think it's starting to show a little bit. I think we're
Hmm.
starting to get hints of it, and I think that's the key. Dallas Goddard, another good tight end, pretty clear goober.
Yes. Like it's there's like an archetype of tight end right now. Again, it's so funny because I'm like I kind of feel like we're in the golden age of tight ends where there really are like 10 to 15 who I'm like
Yeah,
I would love to have that guy on my team. Even though again in fantasy it's just like oh god, what do I do? If you don't get like one of the 3, you're like fuck
yeah.
me,
There's a
man.
solid like top 4 or 5 elite tight ends
Hmm.
for in fantasy reasons, but like in just general teamness, I think there's like a solid 10 that is just like, yeah, I would
Right.
get away with this.
I mean, it's one of the reasons I want Kincaid to work so much. Well,
He's
one, because it's like you pivoted to be like the Kansas City Chiefs and dink and dunk, but you forget like everybody eats. But then it's like, all right, but they had an all pro tight end. And like in his first season, he kept saying doot. Like he described like a hip check block he made on someone as a doot. And I'm like, see, you can be funny.
see
He's
that's
very much into the Blind or Mr. Brightside
Brightside. Yes, I
song.
saw them celebrating hard after their win. There's a video of them sprinting around the field, him and
Yeah.
Knox, and it's
Hmm.
just like I'm like this is good enough stuff that it's like you got that. You embrace that goofiness about I
And
don't
also,
know.
your knees stop getting hurt.
Yeah, that too. But it's like you embrace your goofiness
That less so.
5%. Like just go a little bit more, and it's like you'll be like that archetype of tight ends.
Hmm. Yes. But yeah, Kraft is funny. He's charming. He's like, yeah, sometimes when I'm a scrum, I'll tell someone I'm going to burn his house down. And I'm like, hell yeah, dude, you rock. Yeah, and no, it does seem like based off this early sort of result, it's like, oh, they're going to feed him a little bit. That's going to be like, you know, again, there's all this talk with the Packers, and like openly they said it. Josh Jacobs himself said it. They were looking for a number one guy. That's the difference between them getting over the hump. And I'm like, it seems like they're doing open tryouts right now for that, and it seems like Kraft is winning early.
Yeah.
Um, damn it, I should have known. I should have wrote it down before you got it. Son of a bitch.
I like how that's
But
how we literally have like a game of dibs for who gets to pick. Like
we could just say the same one
we
and
could.
move on, but no, no, no. We have to be robust. We have to have a palette for people. My player is going to be a third-year player, Quentin Johnston.
Interesting. I respect
Yes.
it.
So yeah. So I've me of little faith. I wanted the Bills to get this guy when he came out because he kind of fits the profile I like. Sort of like taller end wide receiver, really lanky, long stride, kind of like one of those guys you throw like a short slant to and let him just like clean his way through because he's kind of like he kind of like sheds off tacklers with his size. He kind of became a meme because he had an awful first, like a genuinely horrific first year, especially for a first round pick. He just I believe he had 2 games where he actively cost them the game with drops. His target rate to catch rate was really, really bad. He only had like a 50% catch rate, 2 touchdowns, 400 yards. Quietly last year, he was much better, but no one gave him credit for it. He ended up having 8 touchdowns last year. And he comes out swinging this year. 5 catches for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. And like maybe a part of it's just I want to believe with the Chargers. I want to believe this is their year where they really start to get over the hump. I really want to believe like again they have the nice vibes, they have the cool quarterback, they have everything you theoretically need. And something about seeing him kind of like really show out on a big stage, I'm like, you know what? I'm getting my stock back. I really think this guy. Again, he came in as a developmental prospect, as like a guy who everyone understood, like, hey, it's going to take time. And then we all wavered on that because it was really bad to start. But now that he's had time under his belt, he looks like a competent NFL wide receiver. And like, if a part of the Chargers' problem was the lack of weapons outside of McConkey, like, if you throw him in and he's even just a competent number 2, that cracks open this offense wide open.
Yeah. Yeah, he just needs to be somebody that it's just like, oh, they're super blocking lad. Let's throw in there. All right. Shall we dive
Shall we
into the
move on
world
to
of
next
week?
Hell yeah. 2 Monday Night Football games already. I hate this.
hate it.
The timing of it's always so annoying.
It's also like it's not even like a 7 o'clock game and an 8 o'clock game. It's a 7 o'clock and a 10 o'clock. Granted, the 10 o'clock game is Chargers Raiders, so it's not like the players are actually going to be staying up late. But
Right. Stupid West Coast time.
yeah, it's super inconvenient.
You
for
didn't
us on the
found
East
this
Coast.
country.
Yeah,
You colonies.
but
but
I don't like. I like the matchups at the Monday night slots, but I don't.
they're
like,
fun enough.
Yeah, Bucks, Texans, Chargers, Raiders. Both had very fun showings. Or all 4 had fun showings, minus the Texans because they had no offensive line. But all the other 3 teams had fun showings. Bucks and Chargers won. Raiders also won, I believe. Yeah, they won, but
Yes.
it was like against the Patriots, so asterisks.
You want to know a silly stat from that game?
Hit me.
Ashton Genty had more yards after contact than he had total yards.
Crazy.
Yeah, he was getting negative yards before like he was behind the line of scrimmage he was averaging his first contact before the line of scrimmage. And I am a little worried that, and again, it's the first week, they'll work on the offense, they'll figure out what works for their offensive line. But I am a little worried this is going to be like a Leonard Fournette situation where they kind of just grind him into the dirt because their offensive line isn't very good. And I'm hoping that's not the case because he actually put some razzle dazzle on it. He was hitting people.
I think the fact that they have Brock Bowers and Gino is going to just keep him alive. That's it.
Right. Yeah, I think they really need to overemphasize airing it out to give everyone room to breathe. But yeah, both of those matchups are really fun, and it would be fun for me to actually engage with them where I'm not like tired for one of them and it's too early for the other, so I haven't had dinner yet.
Yeah.
Um, Otherwise, the Thursday night game, Green Bay Packers versus Washington, kind of has a nice classic feel to it. Both two teams that like we're kind of waiting to take the next step. I think that's a really good matchup for Thursday.
I think it's that perfect. I think that's that perfect amount of. I have no I have no investment in teams outside of mine.
Hmm.
Um, like kind of mentality where it's just like, all right, we have this crazy like, are they gonna hit their sophomore slump team? And the Packers, which have been like low key good, that just kind of took a step up this off season with Golden and Parsons. That it's just like, I feel like that is that right amount of
Hmm.
fun to put as like a solo time slot or like a 4 o'clock time slot game.
Right. When in doubt, get us two cool young quarterbacks on ascending teams and
Yeah,
just like let's have a show of it.
like you can
Um,
get away with it like that matchup. You could get away with like Steelers Seahawks. I don't think you would be able to get away with it if you did like Bills Jets or
mm,
Browns Ravens at that time slot. Actually, you could get away with
yes.
Browns Ravens. Miles Garrett versus Derrick Henry is good. Bears
Mhm.
Lions. I don't think you could get away with it.
Right. It's also at the start of the annoying thing where we have way too few games in the 4 o'clock slot and way too many. Like, I know, I get that they've decided the 4 o'clock slot is always just going to be one marquee game and then a couple, like, oh, it's interesting.
You got your
But,
like
like,
yeah, you got your 2 to 3, or you got the one like real one, and then 2 to 3.
right.
Um,
It's full on,
it's
like,
regional
boxing, wrestling
fun.
setup of, like, yeah,
Yeah,
regional fun, where it's like the minor league stuff and then the heavyweight match, where I'm like, I ideally want at least two good games in each slot where I'm like, I want to have these both on so I can really engage with both of them.
yeah.
And it's like now it also forces you to be like, all right, Chicago versus Detroit at one. It's like, oh, the divisional matchup. Ben Johnson's back after an okay showing with
It was a,
Caleb last week.
I wouldn't say it was bad. I wouldn't say it was a great showing, but I wouldn't say it was bad.
It was improved from last season. We'll go with that. I do want to talk about the Tyler Dunn article about Caleb, but we'll save that for next week because we're already running a little long.
Yeah,
Um, we have Buffalo, New York, which could go, God, a number of ways. Another divisional matchup with Baltimore, Cleveland. It's like, well, I can't engage with all of them now because there's too many games.
yeah. Well, I
Um,
mean, last week it was NFC East was one of the divisions that played themselves. This week it's the AFC East. They're all inter
hmm,
division.
I see.
Shabba-dabba.
Um,
Yeah.
and then, yes, the other primetime game is Atlanta versus Minnesota, two pass heavy teams I would like to see. It's very bold to put it who's effectively two quarterbacks who are effectively rookie quarterbacks
Yeah.
because they didn't play a lot. One of them played nothing last year, and one of them played like 3 games. It's
Both
very
teams
bold to
known
just
for
throw them
Kirk
into the
Cousins,
fire.
and Kirk gets sleepy at night.
Yes,
I think it's a waste of the time slot because you have the Super Bowl rematch at 4 o'clock.
yes. I guess they just decided they didn't want to give the Eagles and the Chiefs back-to-back
Yeah,
primetime games.
yeah. Like Thursday night and both Monday night games are like acceptable enough that it's just like, all right, you guys can get away with staying in this time slot. Um, I don't like. There could be another game or two that we could replace you with, but it's like you're pretty set on being that the solid one.
Mm,
Falcons Vikings doesn't feel like it should be a Sunday night best game of the week. And as of right now,
right.
that theory for that my opinion, the Sunday night football should be the best game of the week is 100% for this season so far because it was Bills Ravens.
Yeah. Well, tell you what. There's still a chance if they both like sling it for 400
Oh,
yards.
it could be an insane game, but I just don't think it has the same appeal as Super Bowl rematch.
Right. And yeah, it's also just interesting having the Super Bowl rematch because it's like my note for Kansas City this week was we're really going to do this again, guys? Because again, the whole offseason was we're going to fix the offensive line, we're going to get back to explosive playmaking. This dink and dunk, like work our way downfield thing is run its natural course, and we got to lock in and think bigger. Xavier Worthy on the fourth fucking play collides with Travis Kelce and separates his shoulder. He might play, he might not, he might just be a decoy, but I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, so we're already back to what we were last year, huh? But now it's Hollywood Brown catching all the passes and not Rashee Rice. Okay. All right. Still can't run the ball. Defense is still okay, but you can see the talent train starting to kick in. Like, I think if they lose this, it's tough because it's like if they only lose this game by 10 points, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
But if it feels anything similar to last year, I think people start to freak out.
Oh yeah. Also, the fact of this game is like I think it's like if the Chiefs lose, it's like Patrick Mahomes' like first 3-game loss streak in a crazy amount of time, if ever.
Oh, that is true. I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
Shall we hit or don't sleep on games?
Sure. Um,
Uh,
which one do I like more?
I went with Denver Indy because again, that like after all the hype they were getting in the offseason, that Denver game was concerning in terms of like low key
Your
Bo
offense.
Nix kind of had yeah,
Yeah, offense. I'm not saying they had the yips, but Bo Nix.
sure looked like they had it.
Yeah, Bo Nix was looking a little sketch. J.K. Dobbins, R.J. Harvey or actually J.K. Dobbins was looking a little sketch. R.J. Harvey was looking pretty solid.
Yeah.
But Sutton, Engram, Mims.
Yeah, the defense saved them that
Yeah.
game by keeping the Tennessee Titans to exclusively field goals. But I am excited to see, like, I do think whoever loses this game, it triggers a huge sort of panic because, on one hand, you have the Colts who are feeling themselves, who could easily come back down to earth going against a real
Oh yeah, they
defense.
could eat humble
Um,
pie right off the bat.
yeah, it could get ugly really fast. Um, but if the Broncos lose this game and deep down kind of understand that, they really should be 0-2, I think
I
like
think that's
all
gonna
of the
be
good Bo
terrible
Nix
for them.
really starts to reek of Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna put it to just a little bit of the yips off the bat, going against a better defense than expected.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope that they took the practices this week to really hone in what they're good at, and I think that's how we'll see.
Right. And your game is an interesting one as well.
Yes.
New England at Miami.
Yep. Um, Outside of being a divisional game, the it is two AFC teams that are 0-1 out of the three that are 0-1. But I think this could be one of those tiebreaker for second place kind of showings
Mm-hmm.
where the Patriots, who were on the down for the last couple seasons, that like seem to be making moves to be on the up, um, barely lost. They lost by I don't say they barely lost, but they lost by one score um, last week versus the Dolphins, who need to get their lives together after getting absolutely slaughtered by the Colts. I think this is like their um, this could be their wake up call game. Like if they
Right.
blow it so bad against the Patriots, I think it would be a lot quicker than a midseason firing that we would see.
Right. Then it's actually taking bets on like how early can you reasonably fire a head
Yeah,
coach?
and then but
Like
also he's like, all right, let's just watch like Drake May secretly balls out with like Stephon Diggs and stuff out of nowhere.
right. Well, see, that's my thing. I think like again, the hopes for the Patriots right now or the hopes for the Dolphins right now are kind of rock bottom, but for the Patriots, they had expectations this year. Like if they go 0-2 and again, what's the stat like 11% of teams that go 0-2 make the playoffs? Like then I think they really start to sweat of like, are we ever going to be good again? Because again, you put the investments in. Like I'm willing to give some grace to their new to the new offensive tackle because it's like, well, you were kind of beat up and you had to play
Mm-hmm.
against Max Crosby, and it's like, yeah, but that's the thing. Like he wasn't a Joe Alt level prospect, and maybe he probably should have just went with a wide receiver or traded down that position. Like on top, yeah, it just that I don't know, that game with the Raiders, even though they only lost by a touchdown, was concerning because it just kind of felt like they had no pop. And I'm like, I got to see a lot from them this game, considering how well how well the Colts, who on paper are much worse, looked in that game.
Yeah.
Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah, send us home, Carter.
Thank you all for watching. We are so happy to be back in the swing of things. The blood is pumping. The hits, the bruises are starting to form. But we don't care because the adrenaline is here and we got some fucking.
He cut out. I guess I'll just end it there. He might still be ranting. Oh well, we'll see you next week with our week 2 don't sleep on, our week 3 what you shouldn't sleep on, question of the week, and all that other fun stuff.